So this is the raw material building, and he's got his mask on. That mask will not protect him from this industrial level of dust from whatever's coming off here. Powder and dye. I don't know what powder it is, but he's not even got proper face covering. And this is the dye. So it's just, I don't know what that is, just like ink. There's an advert, so I'm not going to, I've already got a car, so you're not having me buy another one. This is going now. Keep your hands well out of there. I mean, that looks like a nightmare to work in that, doesn't it? With just your mask on. Do not go near that while it's running. He's got his hand in it. What did I just fucking say? He had his hand in it. You saw him, didn't you? You saw him do that. Like, what a fucking nutter. Just said to not put your hand in it. That was the one thing I said not to do. I can't. I'm going to have to go back and see it again. It's green, yeah, I know it's green, look. There, like, what's he doing? There, he's got his hand in it. That was an advert, that cougar. It just, the adverts are strong on this one for some reason. He's got his hand in it. This is the one thing you wouldn't do. You can't have your hand accidentally brutally smashed in by the mincing machine if you don't put your hand in it, can you? I don't care if you time it well and like you do this every day. Like, there's no way. Like, there's no way you're putting your hand in there. That cannot be right. Don't do it on the video. Don't mess about. It's not cool. I mean, he hasn't even got goggles on. All that dust that came up in the area, he hasn't even got goggles on. He's got his hand in there. That thing ain't stopping. If your hand gets caught, that's not stopping. Oh, there's no safety barrier around it or anything, is there? Now, if you get knocked over and your arm goes in there, then that's it. And it looks like he works on his own daily anyway, so he's like, who's going to call the alarms? Like, that's a good, that. If it wasn't bad enough, can someone go and fetch the sharp hook? There's the sharpened hook. This seems, I don't know how dangerous this process is, but this one seems particularly dangerous to me. So dangerous that we think nothing of utilising the sharpened hook as it doesn't need a sharpened hook. It's just green powder paste for making incense. I didn't know so many lives were lost to the making of incense. It's supposed to be chill. It's going to be an incense stick, but for a while we need the sharpened hook. Get that in there. Don't slip when you're dragging that around, otherwise you might take your knee off. Oh, we're cutting it into chunks, look. And that's how we, like, divvy up the different amounts. But they're just going in that machine anyway, so... There's another opportunity to have your hand turned into nothing. Well, I say nothing. Keep your hand away from the... You'd think there would be some sort of protective distance between the rolling things that cross your hand and the, like, you need like a foot of distance, so even if you put your hand in, you can't touch the rollers. Like, do you know what I mean? You think there'd be some sort of safety mechanism. Instead, it's just like, make sure you don't put your hand too close to that. Like, make sure your clothes don't get accidentally sucked into that. That, what do you mean that? That right there, you mean this? Ah! I'd be on the extrusion end. I don't mind being on the extrusion end. Let me on this end. I'll cut the blocks up. Fucking get me near that stuff with my long hair. Ah! No way. No way, Jamie. That sounds horrific. No way. I mean, I'm not saying no, it didn't happen. I'm saying that sounds horrific. Like, I once had the angle grinder kick back on me and nearly take off my toe, but I've seen someone fall through a roof into the space below, which was like, wow. But I've fallen off the end of a scaffold, but I've not seen anything horrific at work otherwise. And in kitchens, I've seen people cut themselves, but you know, we've all cut ourselves in the kitchen. But yeah, industrial accidents, not nice. And like, there's this added bit of you have to work in the same environment, so now you have to feel stressed at work. Like staying safe is one thing, but feeling stressed is another. This is why, and I'm going to say this unashamedly, after having done some work on the roofs, instead of deciding to become like a full-time experienced roofer and following my father's footsteps and maybe take over I wouldn't have minded doing a bit of taking over the business if it involved doing the business side of things in a room. But instead it seemed to involve doing a lot of fucking roofing and the hard work and I did a bit of it, don't get me wrong, I'm not like work shy, but I decided for my long-term career I didn't want to have to get on dangerous ladders up roofs and, you know, take risks, so to speak, as part of my long-term career, because like I did see that it was dangerous. And I made a decision, like with hairdressing, I wasn't interested in cutting hair per se, but my sister suggested it. I said, well, it's a bit of a funny job for a boy to be doing. It doesn't interest me really. Like, you know, I was a bit sexist about it way back when. I said, you know, it doesn't interest me. I'm not into that sort of stuff. But I went and got my hair cut in a nice salon. I thought, this environment's really nice. Like, in this room with these nice ladies having a chat. Like, this, I could work here, insofar as I could spend time here day to day. Like, and the dangers of the job are you might cut your knuckles, you know, you might get some bleach in your eye. They're not, you're going to lose your hands. So, you know, choosing to be in a nice environment made a big... Like, I know the work was interesting, and hairdressing in the end did turn out to be really interesting and fun. Like craftsmanship, you know, doing stuff with your hands, you know, it's quite good. Like, it's quite, you can get into it. And then you have to chat to all the people. That's really nice as well. But the environment as well, you know, it being a nice place to work, not having to feel terribly... Like, you do feel stressed as a hairdresser because people are going to be cross if you fuck up their hair. But it's a different kind of stress, isn't it? So there are stresses in the job, actually. There were lots of stresses, don't get me wrong. But at other times, it was a really nice environment, mainly. And yeah, health and safety... That's a practical example of the UK government saying, I don't think this is in the UK, but yeah, the health and safety are doing their best to absolutely fucking... Like, they don't want your human rights. We've done Brexit. Thanks very much for your human rights and Brexit and all that. But now you don't have any protections, and we're going to lower the standards as low as we can go, because the Conservative Party have this simple... Don't get me started, but it's a core belief. It's a core belief. Labour are created from, like... You know, the reason the political party is called Labour is because the Labour movement was an organic, but like, you know, it was a political movement on behalf of the workers and the unions, and in opposition to that is the idea that the person doing the work is of little consequence, but the business should be able to hire and fire, and they don't want to take health and safety into account, and you can work extra hours, please, and you don't have to take breaks, and you know, and that's the Conservatives, and they're in charge. So, like, people voted for them because of other reasons, but that's part of the package. And it's really weird because a lot of the people that voted for them, that helped them get into power, are people that work in the jobs that are having their... Like, if you work in a job like this in a factory in the UK, I've got a mate that works up the road in a factory, has done for years. Like, he's a good mate of mine. I'm not like saying it's anything bad in it, but what I am disappointed in is that some of those people voted for the Brexit, and now people in Germany that do the same job get better pay, better holidays. Okay, they have to work in Germany, but like, you know, a lot of my friends don't want to move to Germany and would rather just accept that their working conditions are now worse in comparison. But they got the Brexit, so I don't know. Weird, huh? It's a weird one, actually. I shouldn't talk about it too much because I don't like to, you know, overly make it political. Do I? We're doing chill out time. But in our lifetime, well, at least in my little lifetime, you know, when I was born and raised, I was told about this war that we had and how this like massive war had happened and all this stuff. And I used to look at it and reflect and think, like, even as a young kid, like, aren't I lucky that we live in this, like, we live in the winner's side, and we got the freedom, and we're having the celebrations and the films and the ice cream, and, you know, life isn't shit and hard and difficult like it used to be. Not, I mean, obviously it still is for some people, but you know what I mean? Like we won the war and we came out the side of the good, and everything's good. And I wondered to myself if anything like, you know, life-changing events like that might happen again. You know, you think, could nuclear war ever happen and stuff like that? But like, on a local scale, like Brexit for Great Britain was quite a massive thing. And then another couple of massive things was obviously the COVID for everyone, wasn't it? It was like a huge thing for everyone in the world. Like, we had to live through this massive historical event. And then the Queen dying kind of comes into my picture in here in some way. The Queen dying was like, you know, we have these massive historical events and we don't predict some of them. We just sort of live through them. And when I was a kid, I didn't realise, but now looking back on it as well, especially like Brexit, I knew at the time it was a big thing politically, but looking back on it historically, it's going to be like a piece of our national, not global, but national history that has a knock-on effect that for years and years to come, people will, you know, point at and say, well, this thing happened and it changed that. And people will say, yeah, but, you know, there was these reasons I voted for it and I got what I wanted and this and that. Well, for better or worse, like, you know, it's just going to be interesting to see what all the different effects are in the future. Maybe that people don't care. Don't get me started. What are we making? We're making incense. I just started rambling about Brexit for some reason. Silly politics. So this is powder and dye. So it's getting put in a bag to dry, I'm guessing. But I don't know what the powder was, and I don't know what the dye is. Green though, huh? Shaping process. Don't tell me that's just going to be a nice brass extruder. You've got it all blocked up, you chuffer. They're just going to force it through that, aren't they? And they're going to make like these long strings of incense. And that's what was in that brick, is essentially incense powder and incense dye. And when you burn it, you burn all that dye. So I don't think that's good, is it? Up in the air, all that dye. Well, how does it get on the sticks? Aren't there sticks involved? He's got his hand in the machine again. You have to for this bit of it. There's a lot of this cutting of this dye block, isn't there? I hope that's not toxic. Well, you're going to burn it and put it in the air later, so I hope not. Drop that in there. He's been doing this for years. He still cuts it right tight. Just on the edge of it being just too much. He knows what he's doing. It's extrusion time. I think that's the right word. Squashing it through a thing anyway. I need to find out if I'm being ignorant. It just seems like it might be the right word. Extrusion. Metal forming. Forced it through a die. Yeah, like, so I'm wrong in one way because I'm not talking about metalworking. I'm just talking about forcing it through a die. They mean squashing it through a hole. Extrusion. Pasta pipe. Oh, you can do it with other stuff. Pasta pipes, window panes, gears, many snack foods, aluminium cans, and windshield wipers. So you like squash one thing through another and it comes out in a shape. It's what it is, isn't it? Extrusion. Yeah, I'm using the right word, yeah. And there's chocolate. Now, I do like chocolate, but would you just fuck off my video so I can watch my videos and do my fucking... Like, this is taking the piss now. I keep apologising for it every stream, but really it's just... I'm too professional now as a stream... I'm too professional now. I should really have the ad blocker thing. It's gone too far. And there it is, coming out like sticks of stuff. And it's going to go on boards, and they're going to cut it. Bang on the edge of the board. I like that. Got that one cut. And that one goes down. And then you're going to be on this now. Doing this. He hasn't got his gloves on anymore, so he's going to be getting that dye on his hands. Doing this now. He doesn't mind about cutting a bit off the bottom as well. He's quite happy to cut a bit off the bottom every time. I wonder how much and where that bit off the bottom goes. But he's going to be doing this for an hour or so. Can't leave it. It's going. You know, you can't stop. And this is incense, but I'm surprised because I thought there was going to be a stick involved. Like, I usually aren't incense things on a stick. Yeah, where does the stick come into play? Boxes of them now. Supposed to be bending at the knees, mate. Health and safety. They need the occupational therapist in. So he's in. Oh. These are getting touched and moved. It's a bit of a, you know, you get used to doing that, but I bet when you first do that, you fuck it all up and they all get tangled up. Smoothing those out. I'm surprised, like, because the process of getting them on the boards is one thing, but now you're taking them off the boards and putting them on something else, and like, you know, like we're doing extra moves now. That seems like the less you fuck with it, the better. But they're coming off the boards onto a bigger board. So I don't know if you couldn't just line up your boards on a bigger board, but you're not. You're doing it this way. And this takes ages. I couldn't hack this as like a full-time thing. I don't know how often you have to do this as part of your day job if you're doing this. But I mean, look at them all piled up. I wonder if she's been doing it years. Don't know what's happening now. Got the pizza cutter. Cutting the sticks to the appropriate size. We've already got a lot of trim. I'm surprised we're getting even more trim. We already trimmed them once when they went on the board. I'm just guessing that, you know, all that trim just goes back in the machine and ends up part of it, the next lot anyway, so maybe they don't care. But now they are perfect size. Got it. Again, bending at the back, not the knees. Years of that'll do your back in. She's running the pizza cutter. Where does all that chaff go? There's another one down there on the floor. Can you not just get a table to put them on? It seems annoying that she has to bend down. It's starting to egg me off. Fucking loads of them. I wonder if they smell nice. What now? What's happening now? We're back at the machine. Bash that in, look. With the basher. Do not... He had his hands... Again, like... I do not think it's a good idea if at the process, at this bit, if there's any point where you don't want your hands to be involved, it's this bit. You're wearing gloves. What if you just got slightly caught? There's no way at this point. Oh, while it's going in and about to squash, yeah, get your hands in there now. Give it a dust. That's the way we've taught you. Just do not put your hands anywhere near it while it does the squashing. That's the only time that you could get your hand caught in it and it could cause you problems. So why are you doing that now? Yeah, no one has wood. No one has wood. Hang on. Someone who's talking here. First time chatter. Sorry, I'm an ignorant chuffer for not seeing you there. Bing chilling. Bing chilling. Is it true British people eat cereal with water? No. No, we don't. We have milk on our cereal, or soya milk I have, but no, milk, cereal with water is considered to be something that poor people would do. It's like a, you know, we're so poor that we had to have cereal. Like, some poor people probably do it, but only very, you know, only people in serious poverty. Yeah, sorry about that. But Bing Chilling is something that I where do I recognise Bing Chilling from? Can't remember, but it's a cool name. I hope it's not racist. No, it's not racist, is it? It's just a cool name. Look, this is... Again, we've got more machine shaping. We've got this thing again. But this time there's no boards of wood involved. The machine's doing the wood for us, look, I think. Oh, what's happening here? We're cutting that off. We've got loads of trim again. If I'm doing this, I'm like... I've got engineers in my ancestry. I'm thinking you need to do something about the amount of trim for efficiency. What's happening here now? Look, you see, we're not messing about with boards of wood here. This machine's doing that for us. So sorry, Grandma. We don't need you to fuck about with the boards of wood anymore. And that machine won't take your hand off either, just the one that moves it. It'll be fine. Moving it to... This looks... Fucking... He's... Him on the... You got him pushing them around. He's wobbling. You've got the things wobbling. After all that work, he's going to put them... They're wobbling. Got them upstairs. They're wobbling around. Don't tell me they've never fallen over. Don't tell me he's never... Again, hunched back from pushing these things around for years. It's not done his posture any good. Opening the windows. You could call them windows. The worst windows I've ever seen, to be honest. I saw better windows on my compact Empresario 520. You could, well, the slats. Look, there's Japan out there anyway, so enjoy that. That Japanese air will dry out the incense. Checking it for the sound. How it sounds with those lovely fingernails that are now like green claw fingers. Don't tease him about his green claw fingers. He works very hard in the incense factory. What's she doing? She's measuring with a stick and then cutting and moving. That's how we do it. So that's exact. And then she's rolling him into a bundle anyway. A bit of this is the more fun of all the jobs, I suppose, but still you'd get a bit fed up after a while, wouldn't you? What's that? Is that glue? She's got a way of doing that. She spins it and she's got a finger on it and she spins it and it goes quick. She's been doing a load of them. Banging those bad boys out. This... She looks already broken in her soul in some way. Like, I can just tell from the way her head's down like this. She's fresher to the game, she's younger, and she's probably done enough of these to have started thinking to herself, I don't want to spend the rest of my life rolling these things in bits of paper. But at the same time, I'm in a bit of a difficult situation because the money's reasonable and the... I don't know, she lives in Japan, maybe Japan's got better jobs to offer than this, but she's got herself into this now. I mean, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with doing this as an occupation, maybe, you know, get a bit of money, so it's fine, isn't it? But... You know, people who work in a factory just putting like the ham on the pizza or something. I just find I couldn't... The brain damage it would do me to just endlessly roll... I mean, I endlessly roll reefers, I get to smoke them. Like, but the pressure on her to complete this task of just... Like, put those things in rolls and just do that day in, day out. I don't know where your brain goes while you're doing it. Like, you can't be concentrating on the rolls, can you? She needs to be. They're piling up. You need to get them rolled up, look. And there's another one. And there's another one. And there's another one. I appreciate her you know, hard work and patience in that, because I don't think I've got the patience in me to put up with that on a day-to-day basis. Maybe they go through a lot of people in the wrapping and rolling section. You know, maybe she's just in as a first week. You know, maybe she'll be off next week. I don't know. And that's the product there. You stick it in there and it's a stick. And there is no stick. They're just incense sticks with no stick in. And you light them and you stick them in there. After all that. So next time you see someone burning an incense stick, think of the people who had to sit in the factory, putting them in rolls of paper, and feel bad. I certainly do.